I am the middle brother in a family of 3 boys, and growing up we were inseparable. Marcus, my older brother, was always the responsible one, the guy who had his life figured out. Derek, the youngest, was the charming free spirit who could light up any room. Me, I was somewhere in between, the glue that held us together. Our parents divorced when we were young, but we never let that break our bond. We had each other, and that was enough. When Marcus got engaged to Jenna, it felt like the perfect next chapter for our family. I watched my brother fall in love, watched him plan a future, watched him become the happiest version of himself. But then I started noticing things. Small things at first. The way Derek and Jenna looked at each other when they thought no one was watching. The secret smiles. The lingering touches. I told myself I was being paranoid, that I was seeing things that were not there. I never imagined my own brother would be capable of something so cruel. Before I tell you how my family was torn apart by betrayal, let me know in the comments where you are watching from. And if you have ever dealt with family betrayal, hit that like button and subscribe, because this story might just give you the closure you have been looking for. Now let me take you back to where it all started. The 3 of us grew up in a modest house in the suburbs, learning early on that family was everything. Marcus was 32 when this story began, a successful architect with a corner office and a reputation for brilliant designs. I was 28, working as a software engineer at a tech startup downtown. Derek, at 25, was still finding his path as a freelance photographer. Every Sunday, without fail, we would meet at the basketball court near our old high school. We would play until we could barely breathe, then grab beers and talk about everything and nothing. Those moments felt sacred, like nothing could ever come between us. Marcus met Jenna 3 years before the engagement at an art gallery opening. She was 29, sharp as a tack, and working as a marketing manager for a boutique firm. I remember the first time he brought her to meet us. Marcus could not stop smiling, could not stop looking at her like she hung the moon and stars. Jenna was beautiful, sure, but more than that, she was intelligent and funny. She fit into our group effortlessly, laughing at our inside jokes and holding her own when we gave her a hard time. Derek seemed to like her immediately, which made sense. He was always friendly, always warm with new people. After 2 years of dating, Marcus planned an elaborate proposal at the Italian restaurant where they had their first date. He rented out the entire place, filled it with candles and roses, and got down on one knee in front of everyone. When Jenna said yes, I swear, I saw tears in my brother's eyes. The wedding was set for 6 months out, and Marcus asked both Derek and me to be his groomsmen. We were honored. This was not just Marcus getting married. This was our family growing, expanding, becoming something even more beautiful. Jenna asked Derek to photograph the wedding, and he jumped at the chance. He said it would be his gift to them, his way of capturing the most important day of their lives. It seemed like such a generous offer, such a brotherly thing to do. They started meeting regularly to plan the photography, discussing locations and lighting and poses. Marcus was drowning in a major project at work, pulling 60-hour weeks and coming home exhausted. He was grateful that Derek was helping Jenna with the wedding details. He told me more than once how relieved he was that his little brother was stepping up, being there when he could not be. I started noticing the changes about 3 months before the wedding. I stopped by Marcus's place one Thursday evening, not calling ahead because we were that comfortable with each other. When I walked in, I found Derek and Jenna sitting on the couch together, closer than seemed necessary. They were hunched over a laptop, supposedly reviewing photo concepts. But when I entered the room, they both jumped like I had caught them doing something wrong. Jenna quickly closed the laptop, her cheeks flushing pink. Derek laughed it off, saying they were just deep in concentration. But something about the moment felt off, like walking into a room right after people stop talking about you. I tried to shake the feeling. I told myself I was being ridiculous, that they were just working on wedding stuff. But over the next few weeks, I could not stop noticing little things. At family dinners, Jenna would laugh a little too hard at Derek's jokes. Derek would find excuses to sit next to her, to lean in when she spoke. I caught them exchanging glances across the table, quick looks that felt loaded with meaning. Marcus never seemed to notice. He was too busy talking about his latest architectural design, too consumed with work stress to see what was happening right in front of him. I started paying closer attention, and what I saw made my stomach turn. One evening, I was at a coffee shop near my apartment when I saw Derek walk in. He did not see me tucked in the corner booth. He was glued to his phone, typing furiously with a smile I had never seen before. It was not his usual charming grin. This was something else, something intimate and secret. When I asked him later who he was texting, he said it was a new girl he was seeing, but his voice had that hollow quality people get when they are lying. I wanted to believe him. I wanted to think my kid brother was incapable of such betrayal, but then I saw them together. I had stayed late at the office one Tuesday, finishing up a coding project that was due the next morning. Around 9 p.m., I decided to grab dinner at an upscale bar in downtown, a place known for its dim lighting and private booths. As I walked in scanning for an empty seat, I saw them, Derek and Jenna, tucked into a corner booth, their hands clasped together on the table between them. They were leaning in close, talking in hushed tones, completely absorbed in each other. The way they looked at each other, it was not the look of future in-laws. It was the look of lovers. I felt like I had been punched in the gut. My first instinct was to storm over there to flip the table and demand to know what the hell they were doing. But I could not move. I just stood there frozen, watching my little brother hold hands with my older brother's fiancée. After what felt like an eternity but was probably only 30 seconds, I turned and walked out before they could see me. I sat in my car in the parking lot for 20 minutes, hands shaking on the steering wheel, trying to process what I had just witnessed. That night, I did not sleep at all. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, my mind racing through 1,000 scenarios. Should I tell Marcus? Should I confront Derek first? What if I was wrong? What if there was some innocent explanation? But I knew what I had seen. The way they touched each other, the intimacy in their posture, it was undeniable. By morning, I had made a decision. I needed proof. I could not go to Marcus with just a suspicion or a single sighting. I needed concrete evidence that what I feared was actually happening. Over the next 2 weeks, I became someone I did not recognize. I started tracking Derek's movements, noting when he left his apartment and where he went. I felt sick doing it. Felt like I was betraying my own brother, but I kept telling myself I was protecting Marcus. 3 times that week, Derek drove to an apartment complex on the east side of town. Each time he stayed for several hours. I looked up the address and discovered it belonged to Sarah, Jenna's best friend from college. But Sarah was out of the country on business. Jenna had borrowed the apartment as a quiet place to work, she had told Marcus. Now I knew what kind of work she was really doing there. The breakthrough came one Sunday when Derek came over to my place to watch football. During halftime, he went to take a shower. His phone was sitting on my coffee table unlocked. I knew it was wrong. I knew I was crossing a line. But I picked it up anyway and opened his messages. What I found made me want to vomit. Pages and pages of texts between Derek and Jenna going back 3 months. Messages about how they could not fight their feelings anymore. Photos of them together kissing, holding each other. Plans for secret meetings when Marcus was at work. Jenna writing about how guilty she felt, but how she could not stay away from Derek. Derek responding that they were meant to be together, that Marcus would understand eventually. I took photos of everything with my own phone, my hands trembling so badly I had to steady them against my knee. When Derek came out of the shower, I was sitting on the couch pretending to watch the game, but inside I was screaming. He sat down next to me like nothing was wrong, like he had not just destroyed our family. I wanted to grab him by the throat. I wanted to shake him until he understood what he had done. Instead, I sat there making small talk about the game, counting down the minutes until he left. The next morning, I called Derek and asked him to meet me at a coffee shop across town somewhere private where we could talk. When he arrived, I did not waste time with pleasantries. I asked him directly about Jenna. He tried to laugh it off at first, acting confused about what I was talking about. Then I pulled out my phone and showed him the screenshots. His face went white. For a long moment, he just stared at the screen, and then his shoulders sagged and he started to cry. Derek sat across from me, tears streaming down his face, and I felt nothing but rage. He told me he loved her. He actually used those words. He said the feelings had developed naturally, that he had tried to fight them but could not. He said Marcus did not appreciate Jenna the way he should, that he was always working and never made time for her. Derek claimed he understood her in ways Marcus never could. He said they made each other laugh, that they had a connection that was undeniable. I listened to all of this, my jaw clenched so tight my teeth ached. And then I told him exactly what I thought of his excuses. I said that love was not an excuse for betrayal. I said that if he really cared about Jenna, he would have stepped back and let her work things out with Marcus, or encouraged her to end the engagement honestly before starting something new. I told him that what he had done was not love, it was selfishness. It was cowardice. Derek kept crying, kept saying he never meant to hurt anyone. He begged me not to tell Marcus. He promised he would end things with Jenna, that he would disappear from her life if I just gave him a chance to make it right. He said if Marcus found out, it would destroy our family forever. I looked at my little brother, the kid I had protected and defended my whole life, and I barely recognized him. I told him he had 48 hours to come clean to Marcus himself, or I would do it for him. I said he owed Marcus the truth, and he owed it to him directly, not through me. Derek nodded frantically, promising he would handle it, promising he would fix everything. I wanted to believe him. Some small part of me still hoped that my brother would do the right thing. Those 2 days were the longest of my life. I could barely focus at work. I kept checking my phone, waiting for a call from Marcus or a text from Derek saying it was done. But nothing came. On the morning of the 3rd day, I got in my car and drove to Marcus's house. I had rehearsed what I would say 100 times. I would tell him gently, show him the evidence, be there for him when his world fell apart. I rang the doorbell, my heart pounding so hard I thought it might burst through my chest. Marcus opened the door, and I knew immediately that something was wrong. His face was gray, his eyes red and swollen. He was holding his phone in his hand, the screen still lit up. He did not say hello. He just turned and walked back into his living room, and I followed, dread filling every cell of my body. He sank onto the couch and held up his phone so I could see the screen. It was Instagram showing a photo of Derek and Jenna, arms wrapped around each other, smiling at the camera like they did not have a care in the world. The caption read, "Sometimes love finds you in unexpected places." They had posted it that morning. While I was driving over to tell Marcus the truth, Derek and Jenna had decided to announce their relationship to the world. They had not just continued their affair. They had gone public with it. Consequences be damned. Marcus looked at me with eyes full of pain and asked in a broken voice if I had known. I felt my throat close up. I sat down next to him and told him everything. I told him what I had seen, what I had found, and how I had given Derek a chance to come clean. I told him I was so sorry that I should have said something sooner. Marcus did not yell. He did not throw things or curse or rage against the world. He just sat there staring at his phone, tears rolling down his face in silence. That was somehow worse than any anger could have been. I stayed with him all day and into the night. We did not talk much. What was there to say? His fiancée and his little brother had blown up his life and announced it on social media like it was something to celebrate. The wedding was 3 months away. Invitations had been sent, deposits had been paid, and now it was all ashes. Over the next week, Marcus called off the wedding. He moved through the process like a ghost, making phone calls to vendors and guests, with a voice that sounded like it belonged to someone else. Derek tried calling both of us repeatedly. I blocked his number after the 5th attempt. He sent long text messages explaining that he and Jenna had not planned for things to happen this way, that the love between them was too strong to deny, that he hoped someday we could all be family again. I read them in disbelief. He actually thought there was a world where we would forgive this, where we would welcome him and Jenna back with open arms. Marcus lost 15 pounds in 2 weeks. He stopped going to work, stopped answering calls from anyone except me. I took time off to stay with him, to make sure he ate something, to sit with him in the silence. Our mother called, constantly sobbing on the phone about how Derek could have done such a thing. She wanted to fix it, wanted to force Derek to apologize, wanted to turn back time to before any of this happened. But there was no going back. The family we had known, the brotherhood we had built, it was gone. Meanwhile, Derek and Jenna seemed to be living their best lives. They posted photos of themselves at restaurants, at the beach, hiking in the mountains. They looked happy and carefree, like they had not just destroyed multiple lives to be together. Every time I saw one of their posts, I felt rage bubble up in my chest. Not just at what they had done, but at how they seemed to feel. No remorse, no understanding of the devastation they had caused. Marcus refused to look at social media anymore. He said seeing them happy while he was drowning was too much to bear. 2 months after everything fell apart, I heard through the grapevine that Derek and Jenna had moved in together. They had rented a small house on the other side of town and were playing house like a normal couple. Part of me wanted to do something to make them pay somehow for what they had done, but I knew that revenge was not the answer. I had to trust that life had a way of balancing the scales, that people who hurt others eventually face consequences. So I waited, and I watched, and I took care of my brother. 6 months after the betrayal, I was at work when my phone rang from an unknown number. Normally I would not answer, but something made me pick up. The woman on the other end introduced herself as Amanda. She said she was Derek's ex-girlfriend from 2 years ago, and she had seen my name tagged in some old photos on Derek's social media. She had a story to tell me, and she thought I needed to hear it. Amanda explained that she and Derek had dated for almost 2 years. During that entire time, he had cheated on her repeatedly. She had found out through a friend who saw him with different women at bars and clubs around the city. When Amanda confronted him, Derek had lied, made excuses, gaslit her into thinking she was crazy. It was only after they broke up that she started connecting with other women he had dated and discovered a pattern. Derek had never been faithful to anyone. He was a serial cheater, someone who thrived on the thrill of new conquests and got bored once the excitement wore off. Amanda told me she had been following the situation with Jenna because mutual friends had told her about it. She felt sorry for Jenna, she said, because she knew exactly how this story would end. Derek did not change. He would never change. She wanted me to know the truth about my brother, wanted someone in his family to understand that his betrayal of Marcus was not some great love story. It was just Derek being Derek, chasing the next shiny thing that caught his attention. After I hung up with Amanda, I sat at my desk feeling numb. I started doing research, reaching out to people Derek had dated over the years. What I found confirmed everything Amanda had said. Derek had a history of infidelity stretching back to high school. He had cheated on his prom date. He had juggled multiple girlfriends in college. Every serious relationship he had ever been in had ended because of his inability to be faithful, and I had never known. None of us had known because Derek was charming enough to hide it, smooth enough to talk his way out of trouble. I realized then that Derek had never really loved Jenna. She was just another conquest, another challenge. The fact that she was Marcus's fiancée probably made her even more appealing. Derek loved the chase, loved the secret romance, loved feeling like he had won something. But once the newness wore off, once Jenna was just his girlfriend and not his forbidden love, I knew he would get bored. And Jenna would discover what all of Derek's exes had learned the hard way. I did not have to wait long. About a year after they got together, I started hearing rumors. People who knew them said they were fighting constantly. Jenna had apparently found messages on Derek's phone from another woman. Derek claimed they were just friends, but Jenna was not convinced. She started checking up on him, demanding to know where he was and who he was with. The carefree happiness they had displayed on social media was gone, replaced by tension and suspicion. 14 months after they destroyed my family, I got a call from a mutual acquaintance. Derek and Jenna had broken up. Jenna had caught Derek in bed with a 22-year-old model he had met at a photography shoot. When Jenna confronted him, Derek had actually had the nerve to say that she had gotten boring, that she was too clingy and jealous, that he needed someone who understood his artistic nature. Jenna was devastated. She had given up everything for Derek, had burned every bridge, had lost her job after the scandal of stealing her fiancé's brother became public, and now Derek had tossed her aside like she meant nothing. Derek did not fare much better. Word spread quickly in his professional circles about what he had done. Photographers talk, and nobody wanted to hire someone known for destroying families and being unfaithful. His business dried up. He could not book clients. He could not pay his rent. Within 6 months of the breakup, Derek had moved back in with our mother broke and alone. He tried reaching out to Marcus and me, sending messages about how sorry he was, how he had made terrible mistakes, how he hoped we could find it in our hearts to forgive him. He even had the audacity to ask Marcus for money to help with his debts. Marcus did not respond. Neither did I. We had moved on with our lives, and Derek was no longer part of them. The brother we had known and loved, the kid we had grown up with, he was gone. In his place was a stranger who had proven himself capable of unforgivable cruelty. I heard through our mother that Derek was struggling, that he was depressed and alone and full of regret. Part of me felt sorry for him, but the larger part remembered Marcus's face. That day when he found out, remembered the months of pain and healing that followed, and I felt nothing but cold indifference. Marcus did recover, though it took time. About 18 months after everything fell apart, he met a woman named Lauren at a friend's dinner party. She was a teacher, kind and genuine, with a laugh that filled up a room. She knew about what had happened with Jenna and Derek because Marcus was honest with her from the start. Lauren did not run away. Instead, she told him that the past did not define him, that what mattered was the man he was now. I watched my brother fall in love again, slowly and carefully this time, and it was beautiful to see. They got engaged after a year of dating, and Marcus asked me to be his best man. This time there was no drama, no secret affairs, no betrayal waiting in the wings. The wedding was small and intimate, filled with people who genuinely loved them both. I gave a toast at the reception, talking about resilience and second chances, and the family we choose. Marcus hugged me afterward with tears in his eyes, and thanked me for standing by him through the darkest period of his life. I have not spoken to Derek in over 3 years now. I hear updates occasionally through our mother, who maintains a relationship with him despite everything. She says he has grown up, that he understands what he did was wrong, that he is working on himself. Maybe that is true. Maybe he really has changed. But that does not mean he gets to be part of our lives again. Some bridges once burned cannot be rebuilt. Some betrayals are too deep to forgive. As for Jenna, I heard she moved to another state to start over. I do not know if she ever found happiness or learned from her mistakes. I do not waste energy thinking about her anymore. She made her choices, and she has to live with the consequences, just like Derek does. Looking back on everything that happened, I have learned some hard truths about human nature and family. I learned that the people closest to you are capable of the deepest betrayals. I learned that love, real love, is not about passion and excitement, but about loyalty and respect and showing up even when it is hard. I learned that karma does not need your help. It arrives on its own schedule, and when it does, it is always right on time. Sometimes the best revenge is simply living well and watching the truth unfold. Marcus is happy now, truly happy in a way he never was with Jenna. He has a wife who loves him, a career he is passionate about, and peace in his heart. That peace did not come easily. It came from walking through fire and coming out the other side stronger and wiser. I am proud of my brother for not letting the betrayal destroy him, for choosing to heal instead of staying bitter. And as for Derek, I hope one day he finds the peace he has been searching for in all the wrong places. I hope he learns that real happiness does not come from chasing thrills or collecting conquests, but from being honest and faithful and kind. But that is his journey now, not mine. I have my own life to live, my own family to protect, and I refuse to let his mistakes cast a shadow over the good things I have built. Have you ever dealt with betrayal from someone you trusted completely? How did you handle it, and what did it teach you about forgiveness and moving forward? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If this story resonated with you or gave you some perspective on your own situation, please hit that like button and subscribe for more real-life stories about family betrayal and finding strength in the hardest moments. Share this with someone who might need to hear it. Thank you for listening to my story, and I wish you all the courage to face your own challenges with grace and integrity. Remember, sometimes the worst betrayals lead to the best transformation.